while Nigeria is largely recognized as the giant of Africa. Equatorial Guinea is now the giant of Africa in the department of sexuality, promiscuity, and immorality. Equatorial Guinea has been in the news for the wrong reason for quite some time now. It now seems that Equatorial Guinea has no place, has no room for anything called morality. This is coming after it was discovered that a man who serves in a government department of the country has been having sexual affairs with wives of prominent politicians and prominent men of Equatorial Guinea.
The wife with other men, or him and his wife together?
This same lady we're all feeling pity for and thinking, oh, hope he doesn't come home and give her disease and all that kind of stuff.
Are you serious?
I think it's the problem here. I think it is us that's getting it wrong. It's their thing.
Most times, sensational news, especially when scandalous, always grabs headlines, pushing other stories to the back burner. Recently, another scandal has erupted, far surpassing past headlines like Bobrisky's alleged phone leak. During an investigation into Baltasar Ebang Nkonga, DG of Equatorial Guinea's Financial Investigation Agency, authorities discovered over 400 explicit tapes on his computer, featuring him with various women, including wives of powerful men, his relatives, and even a pregnant woman carrying another man's child. The fallout turned deadly when one of the female participants allegedly took her own life after the leakage of these tapes. In Nigeria and globally, leaked tapes have had severe consequences as social media amplifies every detail, creating a boomerang effect on victims. This trend raises pressing questions. Why record such acts despite the risks? Does pleasure-seeking outweigh caution? And as these willing participants, what does this say about societal values, gender biases, and the judgment of private choices? Today, we would explore these questions. Dr. Olayinka Jibono, popularly called Dr. Jibs, who is a consultant psychiatrist and mental health advocate. Dr. Jibono founded the Freudian Center, a health tech startup offering innovative mental health services, including virtual reality therapy. Jibono has over 20 years of experience and is active in multiple professional associations. She researches mental health interventions in Nigeria, focusing on anxiety and depression. Also on board is Mike Eze Uwanle, widely known as Pretty Mike, an entrepreneur, nightlife influencer, and co-owner of several entertainment ventures, including Proxy Lagos. He's active in real estate and has endorsement deals with Leisure Court and Remy Martin. Pretty Mike's interests include discussions, travel, and fashion. He holds an honorary doctorate in business management from European American University, and rounding off this esteemed list of personalities is Inibehe Effiong, who is principal counsel at Inibehe Effiong Law Chambers, a human rights and public interest lawyer who has been involved in a lot of litigation practice. Inibehe describes himself as the enemy of oppressors, who is committed to ending corruption and injustice in Nigeria. He's a board member of African Chamber of Media and Information. With utmost gratitude, I welcome every one of you to Perspectives today.
Thank
so
you.
let's start with you, Dr. Yinka. What has, concerning this video, or this incident that we've just discussed, what motivates people to share intimate things like that publicly? Especially the man, what might have motivated him?
So we have to be mindful of the fact that we're in the digital age. You know, whatever has occurred, whatever we saw online, of course, has been going on for years, but people just don't digitalize it. So it's because we're now in the global era, globalization, digitalization, and that's why stuff like that happens. Now, what we see is what we call voyeurism. In mental health, we call it voyeurism. And in the past, before digital age, it was called the peeping Tom disorder, which is when people will peep and watch other people having sexual acts without their consent. But now, because of the digital age, we're now, with the advent of pornography as well, because people now have opportunity to watch pornographic content online at will, at their own will, you know, that has taken the concept of peeping Tom from just the keyhole or just watching someone taking a bath to something you can watch from the comfort of your phone.
But to willingly participate, knowing
So now,
the risk of it
now
being
with
leaked
exposure
outside.
so I'm trying to show you a trend. So from exposure to pornography now, then it transitions to you now being the star in your own pornographic content, which was clearly what was going on with this person. It was almost like he was the star of his own show. You know, some fantasy he had been trying to
Really
enact for so many years and now had the opportunity. With power comes opportunity, you know, and he had the opportunity and he was happy to let it go. So before coming on this show, I hadn't watched the videos, but when you said we had to discuss it, I then had to go and look at the videos and see,
Interesting.
and see what was going
exactly.
on. And what struck me in the videos was that he was more interested in looking good. If you go back and look at
and
it,
more so
he
his
was
own
more
pleasure, not the pleasure of
interested in
women.
looking good for the camera. So it was more focused on the camera, not necessarily the act itself. So it just shows you that he was enacting some fantasies that he's had, you know, certain things he's always wanted to do
400 times.
and watch himself
Really
watch himself
400
do
times.
it, which we call fetishism or voyeurism. There's so many in mental health they call paraphilias. So that was his focus, you know, getting himself enacting some fantasies that he has and making sure that they came
Let me get to
reality.
you, Pretty Mike. You know, in these things, there have been different types of judgments. Okay, maybe the women were, you know, under an influence, blah, blah, blah. But the truth of the matter is, the women were just as active in these videos as the men. So what does this say about biased societal judgment, thinking that it's more about the man than the woman?
Well, honestly speaking, I had a different perspective coming on this show. I spoke out, I lashed out against the man heavily. But there's a new turn in this whole thing. For some of you that don't know, there are sex tapes of his wife.
Are you serious?
Yes, yes.
The wife with other men or
With
him
other
and his
men.
wife together?
This same lady we're all feeling pity for and thinking, oh, hope he doesn't come home and give her disease and all that kind of stuff.
Are you serious?
I think it's the problem here. I think it is us that's getting it wrong. It's their thing, because the wife has tapes now with other men, and in fact, I'm hearing that there's another tape that shows him involved, the wife involved, and other people, and they're just passing themselves around. So, I think the fault here is ours. We thinking or trying to judge them with their own thing. A society where husbands are allowed to sleep with other wives and wives are allowed to sleep with husbands.
But I even hear that they have such rendezvous in Lagos here. Anyway.
No, Lagos here is heavy.
Or Nigeria, basically.
Magodu is their headquarters in Lagos.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Where?
Yes, Magodu.
Why have you been there? How do you know?
This thing. No, well, I mean,
They actually have a headquarters?
they have a headquarters.
So what do they do there?
They just married women that sleep with young boys.
Oh, married women that sleep with young boys. But
It's their
are the
thing.
husbands aware?
Husbands are not aware now. But I mean, if you're a husband and you're not aware that your wife is sleeping around, I mean, then that means something is wrong. Or it's a tight niche, a nice cartel where, I mean, everybody's having their fun. They know their husbands are cheating, so they all came together and be like, you know what, our guys are doing these things. Let's just plan our own and have our fun. Trust me, any day this video or scandal comes out, I'm sure it'll be small in compared to what we're seeing in Equatorial Guinea.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Well, that's very interesting. These are just some mind-boggling revelations you have made here. But we'll dig deeper into that.
Definitely.
Let's get Inibehe in the house. Inibehe, are you there? How are you?
Yes, please.
How are you? So good to see you. So you've been following the story.
Good to see you, Ruth.
Good to see you again. You've been following the story about this whole scandal, right? So I want to ask you some legal questions. Even though the women consented to the recording, can the people involved still claim a violation of privacy or exploitation if the tapes were leaked without their permission? Can they take any action under privacy or date laws?
Yes, of course. I mean, you started by saying that whether I've been following. I don't know if that is a question. The truth of the matter is that whether I wanted to follow or not, I have been forced to follow it. Being someone that is very active on social media, the way social media works now is that you are compelled to see things that you may not want to see. So I have seen, a few of those videos pop up on my timeline. The truth of the matter again is that if you want to be factual about it, yes, this sexual intercourses, they were consensual, and it also appears that the women largely consented to being recorded. Now, did they consent to the release and publication of those videos? I seriously dispute that. As a matter of fact, I have read a report by the Punch newspaper where it is stated that these videos were released while this man was already in custody. So that presupposes that he's not even the one who released it. So why these videos have to be made public is what the investigators will have to unravel. This man, as I said, was already in custody when these videos were leaked. He was not arrested because of these videos. He was arrested because of alleged fraud that he said to have committed in his capacity as the Director General of the National Financial Investigation Agency in Equitorial Guinea. So when he was arrested, his house was raided or searched, and the officers who went to his house and his office reportedly recovered these CDs. The number is put at 40. I don't know whether that is accurate. But if the officials are the one who leaked the videos, then that also raises an integrity question about the investigators themselves. That should not be their target by my own mind. Why they had to make it public, I do not know. Because if you have recovered this and you have found that someone in occupation of such a sensitive office, someone that is supposed to rid a country of corruption, is using his office one way or the other, to have sexual relationship with married women, and not just married women, wives of very prominent people. Why they had to make that public, I do not know. Maybe it was meant, to name and shame him and possibly create a scandal to stop other people from doing that. But that has to be investigated. I believe that is an infringement on their privacy. And we must also be clear that to the extent that these women consented, it is a moral issue. However, as a public officer, he is expected to maintain a higher degree of moral rectitude. And for the simple reason that some of these sexual escapades took place within the confines of his office. That may be a violation of the Code of Conduct for Public Officers of Equitorial Guinea, from what I have read. So the leaders of the country are very much in order by dismissing him from his post. But whether he can be prosecuted for having intercourse with multiple married women, I seriously dispute that. I do not think there will be any basis to bring such a charge. Because as I said, there was consent. You cannot be prosecuting him, for engaging in consensual sex in a country that does not practice Sharia law. And so I don't see how that is going to fly. But I do agree that this is very embarrassing for a public officer, not just a public officer, someone who could, it's like the equivalent of our EFCC, the equivalent of our anti-corruption agency, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. That is how sensitive his office is. So privacy right has been violated. And I also believe that those women, many of them, their marriages will be affected by what has happened. I do not know whether there is a bit of sensationalism to this regarding the number. I'm not defending him, but when you say 400, that seems to me like a very significant number. I haven't seen 400 tapes, but whether it is 400 or 50 or 2, for the fact that some of these things took place in his office, they are clearly indefensible. But as I said, these are adults who did things that are morally appalling, and the country must find a way to address that.
But let me ask you, now that you say that, can the individual, that's the man himself, who retained the sex tapes, can he be sued for not securing them by the participants? Because they were in his person, they were in his possession. So he or the people that released the tapes, can they be sued?
No. The legal principle is voluntary non-fit injuria. To him who consents or whoever consents, there is no injury. Once you have given your consent, either expressly or implicitly to an act that may otherwise be tortious, that may otherwise amount to civil wrong, you cannot subsequently come out to say, oh, I have suffered injury on the basis of what I had given my consent to. So those women may not be able to maintain an action in law for the fact that those videos went public, particularly because they will not succeed if it is actually correct as reported that those videos were published while he was in custody. So you cannot hold him liable or responsible for the leaks when he's not the one who released them. To the extent that they consented to those videos being recorded, and to the extent that the sexual intercourse were consensual, the women may not succeed in pursuing any legal action against the man. Consent is very important, and that is what really makes a distinction. That is where the distinction is drawn in law between rape and what is not rape, because rape is a non-voluntary sexual intercourse. Once consent is absent, either due to use of force or undue influence or misrepresentation as to the nature of the act, then once those ingredients are not present, it was consensual. So they cannot say they were raped, they cannot say they were recorded against their consent. But if you see some of the clips, like I said, that I have also been forced to see, because they jump on my timeline and I had to understand what we are talking about to be able to come on this program. Some of the women were looking at the records and they were smiling. They seemed quite excited about it. So will the same people now go to court to say, oh yes, I took part in the sex voluntarily, I consented to be recorded, and I'm not happy that my record has come public, when indeed it did not come public because of the action of the man who they had the sexual intercourse with.
Okay. Thank you so much, Inibe. Let me get back to the studio. Don't go anywhere soon.
Honestly, sorry to interrupt you guys, but one of my prayers after I've seen this mass escapade is that the Lord should give me his kind of strength. Because honestly speaking,
in terms of performance,
his performance is explicit, and I personally don't have that kind of strength. I need to have that kind of strength because I think there's an Ojoro here somewhere where they give some men the strength and don't give some men the strength. 400 times.
So you are focusing on the strength, not so much the acts.
I need the strength and the acts, all of them.
But let me ask, now that I'm even back with you, some people might say that he might have used something on these women to make them participate willingly. So I want to ask both of you, what do you think he would have said to coerce them, to convince them to take part in these acts? Because most of these men are married women.
I believe you have to be mindful of the setting in which it has occurred.
In the office?
It's Equitorial Guinea, which is an authoritarian society. I believe the president has been president for over 30 years or 40 years. When you've been raised and you live in an authoritarian society, there's a certain mindset, because such societies are very patriarchal, and there's usually often a power imbalance. So we have to be mindful of the fact that there will be an underlying power imbalance in this scenario. Yes, it looks like they consented on camera.
They did, doesn't it?
But there could have been coercion, silent coercion. What if some of these women were his staff? What if he had some level of influence over certain decisions or certain things, and that led to what we're seeing? So when we say consent can be informal or formal. When the lawyer said they consented, was it formal consent? And then did they also consent to, when you sign consent, was there a clause there that said the information was going to be guarded safely?
I think
was that part of it? Was that what they consented
to?
Was that what they consented to?
No, but my point is,
but the fact that
could it be alcohol? Some people even said it might even be spiritual.
Yeah, some said it's
some said it might be financial.
I think it was just pure fun. Where
for 400 women to willingly agree, or 400 tapes,
the man has.
He must be very persuasive.
Yes, I think, like I said, his office. When we think of the environment, Equatorial Guinea, it's a small country where maybe few of these men have this kind of influence, and he was probably one of them. I mean, if you look at him, obviously he looks like a good-looking man to their standard, and then of course maybe had a level of wealth, and obviously had a way to sway himself around women. Because for you to convince married women, even some that were pregnant, to have an intercourse with them.
And film it.
Yes, I go to say that some of our husbands that are married that have not been performing as much as in the bedroom, obviously now they have
a call.
Yes, they need to step it up.
But are there places around that do this kind of things? Where you just mentioned that.
No. It's big in Lagos for a fact that I know. It's big in Lagos. I know of some people, I know of some areas.
Like when a woman wants to get sexually satisfied, she knows where to go to?
I even know of some high-profile ladies that are married and enjoy these kind of explicit acts.
Are you serious?
Yes.
But they don't record, hopefully not.
No, they don't record. And if they do record, it's one of those I record, I delete it immediately. Because I'll tell you something about recording your sexual act. There's a thing about going back to look at it, about your moves and your angles.
Is that the thrill? Is that where the thrill is?
I think there's a thrill to it. But we're in a society where we've seen sex tapes leaked. And
some of them might be here that they're even planted.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, it's a moral thing for me.
Yeah.
There are some things that should be done, there are some things that should have been done. But who are we to judge? If that's how they do their thing in Equatorial Guinea, big ups to you guys in Equatorial, and big passos. You guys are the African giants in this department.
Yeah, so yeah. But it's sad because sometimes I wonder, because we've also heard of incidents where sexual tapes have been released here in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And how does anybody overcome such scandal?
I have quite a number of female friends that I mentor. And I hear these things all the time. Either your boyfriend trying to release your nudes. And, I just tell them,
how do you overcome this?
Mentally, just forget it. Because if it's out there, it's out there. If you think, we've had some celebrities that we've seen their sex. I can clearly ask you guys now.
Don't call names, please.
No. What happened? It's gone. At that moment, oh my God, yes. And then what? It's gone. Same thing with several celebrities over the years worldwide that their nudes or sex tapes have leaked. So I try to encourage my so-called friends, especially the female ones, don't let it get to you. If it has gotten to the point where you couldn't control it, and sometimes you have guys trying to extort money from them and mentally and emotionally control them, I said, let it go, let it out. Yeah, your parents might, of course, you're ashamed, and your kids or whatever, but you know what? It will come, it will pass. It's a mental thing, and it's not going to kill you.
Okay, that's true. But speaking of not going to kill us, we did hear of one of the women that committed suicide, Dr. Yinka. So psychologically, what kind of effects can it have on women mentally? Because this woman committed suicide. She was one of the guests. So it's what she did, was it out of character?
I totally agree with what he said. There are different kinds of people in terms of mental strength. Some people might look strong on the outside, but on the inside they're not as strong. Resilience plays a big role. If you look at the scenario, look at the problem as one of your regular kind of challenges that you face, Lagos traffic or whatever, and you find a way to surmount it, then you're able to break through. But for someone like the woman, like the woman that committed suicide, obviously that kind of person when she's faced with adversity on a regular day or basis, she's probably someone that will catastrophize, like look at it beyond, when you look at a situation beyond, put so much weight on it, beyond its true form, then you take drastic decisions, and such decisions can lead to suicide or other mental health complications.
Let's get back to Inibehe in the house. Are you there? Okay. So
yes, please, I'm with you.
Yes, good. Another question I want to ask. What steps can participants of this tape take legally to prevent further distribution of the tapes? Can they pursue restraining orders or take down requests from online platforms?
Yes, I believe so. As I said, the challenge, however, is that so much water has already gone under the bridge. The video has not only circulated in Equitorial Guinea, it has become a trending issue in many parts of the globe. That is why even in Nigeria, if you check social media now, it is what everyone is talking about. And that is why we are even having this conversation. So I doubt if there is much that the law can do. Like we say, the maxim is lex non cogita ad impossibilia. The law does not compel the performance of the impossible. The videos have gone out, they are there. But if there are specific accounts or individuals that are known to be releasing those steps, there is a possibility that they may get, some restraining order or a cease and desist letter mandating them to cease from further distribution or circulation of those tapes. Now, there's a point that, a question that you ask Pretty Mike, whose comments I find quite interesting, where he said that the best way to handle those, for victims or women that are being threatened with leaks is basically to act indifferent. I agree to an extent because over the last few years, I've been involved in a few of those cases where women have approached me, and even men, I'm telling you, to say that they are being blackmailed, they are being threatened, that their tapes are going to be released. And my first response is always, don't give in to the demand. Blackmailers are insatiable. When they ask for 1 million today, and you give 1 million today, or you give 500,000, the next day they are likely going to ask for 2 million. Most blackmailers are insatiable, so don't give in to the demand. The moment the threats are coming in, you could play along, get them to feel comfortable, give them hope, and then set the law in motion to go after them. Because in Nigeria, under the Cyber Crimes Act, particularly Section 424 as amended, release or publication or sending pornographic material through a computer is an offense punishable with imprisonment of up to 3 years. So if someone is threatening you that he or she is going to release your pornographic material, you are not without remedy. You can't set the law in motion. You can't get the complaint to the police. But first, talk to a lawyer to advise you on how to go about it, and then get the culprits arrested. Don't give in. The moment you start giving in, they will continue to demand. In fact, the last of that case that I was privy to a few months ago, when they started threatening the lady, she kept even sending more pornographic material to the person who was blackmailing her. So the person now had even more pornographic content. At the end of the day, she could not have the money to give, and the things were released. And unfortunately, she was not able to track those persons. So don't give in to blackmailers. You must take a very firm position. Now, we must also agree that we are living in a situation or a society where people are free moral, human beings are free moral agents, right? So there's a limit to which government can interfere in private matters of this nature. Why this one is particularly of interest and why it is worthy of a conversation here is that, number one, the person involved is occupying not just a public office, but a sensitive office. And that is what I want to respond, to some extent agree in part, to what the female panelist in Abuja has said. That, yes, they were consensual, but I believe the investigation should be done to unravel whether these women may have even themselves, some of them, been blackmailed to consent. It is possible the consent was obtained under duress. What I mean is that this man was the Director General of the National Financial Investigation Agency. Is it possible that some of these women are occupying public offices and he had found evidence of corruption or fraud against them and they were under investigation, and he now made it as a condition for stopping those investigations that they should have intercourse with him? Is it possible that some of their spouses were also under investigation? These are questions that I expect the government of Equitorial Guinea to answer. Regarding the comments of Pretty Mike that the man has this sexual prowess, I don't want to dabble into that as a lawyer. I think Pretty Mike is in a better position to speak about those matters because as an entertainer, he knows quite a lot about the mindset of people in that regard. But I don't want to dabble into that. But I agree with him. I agree with him to the extent that some of these things are things that we cannot control. And I don't want anybody to play holier than thou, right? That, oh, this is an isolated case. The only reason why we are talking about this is that his own case has gone public. His own case has gone public. A lot of things are happening under the cover of darkness that people do not know about.
Pretty Mike, what do you have to add to that?
No, I just wanted to, I like the point where he's coming from in terms of legality and all that. Mm-hmm. But, like I said, as of this morning, there's a serious twist to this whole investigation where it has not just been about whether something is wrong, but I'm believing is a thing of culture. It's their thing. And you know what?
Let's go. Pretty Mike here has been making some harsh revelations here. Let's start with you especially. There's this gender bias that women are more prone to forgive men when they do these things, you know, and that men are much badly behaved, much more than women. But you are saying that women are worse, which Dr. Yinka disagrees to. So why do you say that?
Yes, the women are worse. But based on our society, you know, there's this discreet way that they do their thing, and that's why sometimes it's not out there in the open. But I can tell you for a fact that women have a higher tendency or even a higher rate to cheat than men.
Isn't that a bit much? Nigerian men are legendary with their cheating.
See, that's because theirs is being done in the open, so you can clearly see it. But the women, on the other hand, are champions in that department. Imagine a department where you hardly see it, but you know they're doing it. The question is, when and who are they doing it with?
And is it really happening? I don't.
But I don't think that women are women as highly sexed as men.
Yeah.
How often can they be so? A man can do 20 women in 1 week. I don't think a woman can do
So for
that.
me, I think it's about the morality about all this.
Yes, also there's a morality
It's
issue.
So yeah, a man can go have sex and cheat. The woman does the same. But you know what? Now you talk about having
But with
kids.
some women, it's deeper than just sex.
Yeah, I think it's a mental
Because
thing.
psychologically, for a woman to cheat, it's beyond just sex.
That's what you get at the
There's a
deceive
lot-
us all this
Yeah,
while.
but
No,
it's-
don't
Oh,
say
are
that.
you serious?
That's
Women
like
just don't cheat for
psychological
fun.
thing. He
Women
told you
don't
that
cheat for fun.
if they like it.
No, they-
It's their thing. Don't say that. This is a language they've been using to deceive us for years. There's more psychological. You know, before women can get in bed, they must like it. It's a lie. They just like it.
That's not true.
I'm telling you,
Not true.
this
That's
language
not
they've
true.
been using to deceive us for years. That before I can get in bed with somebody, I must. It's a lie. She's sleeping with the driver.
That's not true. That's not true. You're being a bit harsh. You're being a bit harsh.
Yeah.
I think more women do it. Some women do it for financial, and some women do it because they need attention. But I don't think a woman would just be promiscuous just because she likes sex. Maybe I'm outdated. I'm old school. So,
Depends if it's-
are you saying there's no reason women cheat for the same pleasure that men derive?
1,000%. They
thing.
just love it.
Maybe single women.
We're
but
single. We're talking about married women
No,
here.
I doubt. I don't think so.
No, but married and single, what's the difference? They're still women.
Yes.
I see lots of couples in my clinic, and I don't think that it's women cheat psychologically. Women cheat when there's a problem. If for a woman to cheat, there's obviously a problem in the marriage.
I don't know about that.
There's
Some
a problem.
women are just naturally naughty.
emotional.
Yes.
No, there is a problem. It looks like she's having fun on the
But
outside,
why must
but
there be a
is
problem with the woman when the man does the exact same thing?
So there
when the
might
woman
be
does it, it's not a
men
problem.
do it for fun, but for a woman to cheat,
Why would you think that
it's
some women won't do
proven.
it for fun?
It's proven
Are
for a
you-
married woman to cheat.
Which encyclopedia did you use? When they say
For a
it's
married
proven?
woman to cheat, it's proven
No,
that there
no,
must
I want to-
be
I want to
an
tell you-
underlying reason.
I want to tell you
No, I
something.
don't think
And
so.
a lot of times when
Some women can cheat
when you
because they are
intervene-
naughty by nature.
Yes, and I want to tell you something what I found out over the years. This thing you call underlying reason is just an excuse. So women psychologically like to give themselves an excuse. They might be like, oh, today he's not giving me attention. And maybe he's even giving more attention than he used to. But just because they're in that mood to pleasure themselves.
No, I think you're being
truly,
extreme. I think
in
both of you are being
therapy, a lot of those
extreme.
women don't even know why they are doing it. They discover it during therapy.
Have you cheated before?
No, sir. Why are you asking me, sir?
No, because you're sounding like
No, it's what I do. I see a lot of couples in my clinic.
So you have never cheated on anybody before?
Sir, in clinic.
You can see
When
how
we
she's
examine this
diverted from the question. You can see,
not
you guys are watching. I mean, you
I'm
can
not
see how she has
focused on this
digressed. She
question.
couldn't even, with a straight face, she can't answer that question like, no, yes. She's like, there is problem.
No, don't say
Maybe
that.
not now, maybe before,
I'm not
maybe
the
when
fo-
you
no,
are
I'm
much
not
younger.
the focus of discussion.
I
sir.
didn't say you are. I just
Yeah,
asked
but
a
you're asking
question.
that, you're making
No,
a personalizing
that's
it
wrong,
now.
That's wrong, Mr.
Okay, I should not. You can see other
That's
excuse.
wrong. No, that's wrong. You didn't ask me that kind of question.
No, but I don't
It's-
believe. I don't believe.
I might not even be sexually active. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
That's
So
another
you
angle.
don't even know.
That's why the answer should not be no.
No, I don't.
No, but I don't believe
I'm
that
the subject
women
of discussion.
cheat just for the sake of cheating.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Yinka said, some of them cheat because they're not being given the attention that they need, or they're sexually starved by their partners.
Right,
At the
Vice
same
versa,
time,
vice versa with men. It is also same thing with men.
please, men
I
don't
have-
need that much excuse to cheat.
No,
Please.
I have also had friends, male friends, that said, you know what, I'm not getting enough at home. Let's agree to that.
But that happens.
Or that says that
Yeah.
their sex drive is not as much as their wife's. Or sometimes I've also seen a scenario where when she's pregnant or after she's given birth, her
Okay.
sexual drive has reduced. So there are so many reasons for men wanting to sometimes go outside. Of course, you cannot take permission from your wife to say, you know what, since you've had 2 kids now, you don't feel like doing it like you should do before. Let me go outside. You know, but these things, people just don't want to talk about it. They don't want to discuss it. They rather just go about it. Because you can't ask your wife permission. Madam, I beg.
Neither can the wife ask her husband.
Vice
permission.
versa. So that's what I'm telling you. It happens.
And it's
Okay,
okay,
let me-
society encourages a very polygamous society.
Even though we're a polygamous society, but
if
I
you're
don't
in a
think-
society that is strict
This
on
Gen Z
extramarital
generation,
affairs, you
they
won't
don't believe-
readily go out.
Yeah, but this Gen Z generation, they don't believe in that, the days of our forefathers, where, the man can do it and get away with it. They expect a lot more from their partners in today's generation. But which leads me to the next question.
Right.
Some people have said, although you've put a new tilt to the whole saga by saying the wife herself has her own videos.
The wife has her video.
But on a normal situation where it's just the man that has done it,
Yes.
some people will usually ask, how come the wife is the last to know? Has she not seen signs? How can she not know what kind of man she's married to? Which brings me to the question of looking at your husband's phone or not looking at your spouse's phone. What do you think? Do you think it's best to, sometimes it's wiser to look at all the phones and any other device so that at least you're kept abreast of what he or she is doing, or what I don't see, what I don't know won't hurt me?
You know,
What
when they
approach
were-
do you think is better?
When they were taking their vows and said, you know, at the end of the day, even biblical, when they says 2 becomes 1, right? Meaning you become your partner and your partner becomes you.
Yeah.
Biblically, they excluded phone. Phone was not part of that equation. If the phone was available when they were writing that part of the Bible, they would have said exclusion of phone. So I always advise all my friends, partners, stay away from your husband or your wife's phone. It's very important, especially in this society now. A society where a young guy or a couple of guys can come on your wife's DM, hey, beautiful, how you doing? And you know what? Just because she's bored, she might just reply, I'm cool. You as the man can come back and see that and take offense. Why did you reply him in the first place? And maybe there was really nothing there.
So see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, approach is best.
Let this phone, they didn't add it in that department of marriage vows. It's not part of it.
But Dr. Ika, what do you think? Because some would argue that knowledge is power. And doing investigation sometimes into these things can give you answers to better cope with whatever happens.
So I'll answer this question in 2 ways. Truly, ignorance is bliss. You know, personally, I
agree
believe
with
that
you.
the less you know, the better for you. You know,
Okay.
but the Bible says that they were both naked and they were not ashamed. When you're married to someone, you should be able to. You should be able to be vulnerable with your partner. You should be able to show anything and everything to your partner.
I don't know how practical that is in today's Nigeria.
That includes your everything about
That's why I
you,
said
your passwords.
you said-
I tend to agree more with
your,
Putin,
your
like, in this
password
matter.
and everything.
No, I
really,
think
truly,
that's-
that is what a relationship.
Including bank account details?
Truly, yes, that's what a relationship should be like. That's the ideal, but that's not
but
what we
that's
see
not
all
the
the
ideal.
time. Yes. Now, to protect your peace, I would say there are certain things you can ignore because I work in mental health. I've seen a lot of women on admission that were brought there because of the psychological trauma they gave themselves from their husband's
Self-inflicted.
escape. Exactly, self-inflicted.
You're not the wife's escapade.
The husband's escapade. You know?
one-sided.
So truly, women that learn to look away certain times are happier. at the
Okay,
end.
let's include Inibe here. Inibe, are you there? Are you there with us?
Of course, I'm enjoying the
enjoying the
comments by Pretty
conversation?
Mike. I've been laughing so I've been laughing so hard over here.
Okay, we don't need to ask you if you've been faithful to your partner. Don't worry, we won't ask you that. But let me ask you again another legal question. Are there any legal actions relative of participants can take if the leak has negatively impacted their employment due to this reputational harm? Because nobody's talking about the loved ones, nobody's talking about the husbands of the participants. So this affects them in their workplace. Are there any illegal actions they can take towards it?
No, let me even mention this to you. If this were to be in Nigeria, I'm not sure if many people are aware that if you file an application, or a petition rather, for dissolution of marriage, that is a divorce petition, on the basis that your partner has committed adultery, that is a solid ground. But guess what? the court can actually decline that petition. The court can refuse that petition for dissolution if it is shown that the petitioner had condoned the conduct of the respondents. So condonation is one of the defenses to a petition for dissolution of marriage that is premised on this kind of conduct. That is very important to say that the revelation that has come to light, because even as I'm here, people are messaging me to say that truly the wife's video is also out there. In fact, from one of the descriptions I saw, she was overtly so excited in the video that is said to be in circulation. So if truly both of them are involved in this and both of them are aware, that would not be, I'm not sure they can succeed if any of them were to go to court to seek dissolution of their marriage. Now, can the spouse of the women who are caught in this video, can their husbands file an action because they have been mentally impacted because of the psychological torture or trauma, or because their work and occupation has been impacted negatively? I doubt. However, in Nigeria, for example, if you bring a petition for the dissolution of marriage on the basis of adultery, the law requires that you should join a person known as the co-respondent. The co-respondent is the person that the respondent, that is the person that is sued by the petitioner for dissolution, had the sex or the intercourse with. So normally, if Mr. A is the petitioner and the wife is the respondent, and Mr. A is alleging that the wife was involved in a extramarital affair, when Mr. A is filing his petition, he's not just going to sue the wife, he must also sue the partner of the wife that the wife is having a extramarital affair with. And the petitioner has the right to seek monetary compensation for the damages that he has suffered, injury he has suffered on account of that extramarital affair. I believe that similar legal requirements exist in Equitorial Guinea. That principle should also exist generally. So, but whether that can affect, or give rise to a cause of action to sue on the basis that their employment is impacted, I don't think any spouse of these women will be fired. On the contrary, they are likely to be perceived as victims of what has happened. Because on what basis will you be sacking them? I don't see any basis for that, except it is shown, as I indicated earlier, that maybe if one or two of them may have gotten into this act on the basis of blackmail in order to shield the spouse from investigation that this very active man, in quotes, was engaging in. So there is a limit. I want to remind us that the law can interfere in this matter. And that is why the government is focused, the government of Equatorial Guinea is focusing more on the allegation of fraud against him.
Can I ask you another question concerning this? Can the husbands of the wives sue the man for moral misconduct, or does the law only apply to criminal behavior?
No, I don't see how that kind of action will succeed because the wife consented. But if a petition were to be brought, as I said, if the husband of the women, the spouses of these women were to sue their wife for dissolution of their marriage, because, that is certainly going to happen in some of the cases. There is no way those women, some of those women at least, will not lose their marriages. So if they decide to take the matter to court, I strongly believe that the very agile man may have to pay damages for the emotional distress that the husbands of these women have suffered. That is what I expect the principle of law to be. Because in Nigeria, that is certainly going to be the case. And from the some research I have done, there seems to be similar principle under the laws of Equatorial Guinea. But let us not lose sight of the point that these sexual encounters were largely substantially consensual. Once consent is present, the law takes the back seat. Because these are adults, none of the women is a minor. If minors are involved, the state will have automatic rights to sue, because once the minor is involved, the requirement of consent does not exist. Consent becomes irrelevant once a minor is involved. But these are adults, grown up. They have reached the age of consent, like we lawyers will say. They had given their consent, not only to the intercourse, but also to being recorded. So I don't expect any of them to go to court, on this. What worries me, even though Pretty Mike has, a higher, capacity to comment on that because he knows a lot about social issues. What I don't understand is how this man was able to convince or, persuade some of these women from the profile that we have seen. Some of them are married to very influential people. I don't believe in witchcraft, and the law doesn't subscribe to witchcraft. So the insinuation that, maybe he's using juju on them or charm, that cannot hold up in any court of law. You cannot go to court and say, he was using diabolical powers of me. That will not be countenance under the 21st century legal system across the world. So witchcraft cannot be an explanation. Diabolical powers cannot be an explanation for what has happened. What we can speak to is the science that is verifiable, which is that adults participated in this. Because if it was diabolical power that the man used, was it the diabolical power that made the women to be smiling the way they were doing, to look so excited? Did the witchcraft power also, make them to be very receptive of what was happening? So I don't want to get very salacious about the conversation, but the truth is that they participated actively in what happened. And as I stated, the principle of law remains voluntary non-fit injuria. The person that consents cannot say that he has suffered injury.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to, sorry to cut you.
Get back to you.
I wanted to commend our Attorney General, or our Attorney at Law, our friend here. Sir, I appreciate your investigative department. While we're here discussing this very matter, you were obviously getting an updated video of the wife having explicit behavior. If I will share my WhatsApp number with you so you can send me what you have so I can investigate with you too. Thank you.
Okay. On a more serious note, though, considering the caliber of men whose wives this man had the sexual escapades, do you think this act can expose him to danger? Imagine if the roles were reversed and it happened here in Nigeria. Do you think it can expose him to personal danger? And if you were to advise, what would you tell him to do?
Well, honestly speaking, there's something going on that we are all not aware about. Because the wives of those ladies have not spoken up. Nobody has actually come out to have an official statement.
Yeah, but who would?
Yeah, I mean, to say or defend or, to explain what's going on. So it's definitely something that we're not aware of. Because if this happened in Nigeria, I don't think that man will be anymore. He'll probably be on the run. So there's something that is
culturally acceptable.
Right, that we are not.
I don't know about it being culturally acceptable.
Not the video part, but maybe the act itself. But do
you expect any of the women to even come out and make any statements?
Well,
they were already shown as willing partners.
Yeah, so
what can they really say?
They are, like I said, someone should have, out of the multitude of number, someone will have taken the courage to say something. And maybe that's why we've not heard anything from the wife, the man's wife himself, maybe because she knew she was also part of this escapade. Even the so-called husbands of the other wives, nobody has officially come out to say,
But I'm not surprised that nobody has come out to talk. It's a very embarrassing situation.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody will come out to even acknowledge it.
It is.
Even if you're a participant or a spouse of.
It is. Very, very embarrassing.
Anyway, thank you so much. I wish you had a longer time. And please, Mike, don't forget to give...
Yes, my WhatsApp number. I need that video. I need this most.
Women who are largely married, women who know, some of them know themselves and they are well affiliated. Some of these sexual affairs happens in the office. As a matter of fact, while we have been pitying the wife, it was recently discovered that even the wife is largely involved in these promiscuous acts. People are now beginning to say that it is a tradition in Equatorial Guinea for married people to involve or be engaged in sexual affairs with various partners, even while married. This news has been generating controversies globally from all and sundry.